Welcome to another session of our candidate questions. We have Mayor Todd Krause, the mayor of Lake Geneva, joining us today. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you today, Nancy?
Really good. And
awesome.
The heat of the campaign here, coming down to the wire.
Just a couple days.
So I'm going to ask you the same three questions that we've asked everybody else. We're going to start out with the question of, in your opinion, what are the top three things that the city of Lake Geneva needs to be focused on right now? I know there's a million,
right?
But the top three.
Well, without a question, Highway 50 is the number one concern we have. And in the last few years, we've been working diligently every month, day by day, getting everything organized to, when this begins exactly a year from now. So, we put together the mayor task group that helps out with that. And boy, it's been a great group. A lot of different, stakeholders in that.
Sure.
So we've had just a terrific time. But we're looking forward to that getting started. Hopefully it's going to be, 2 years or less that we can get the project wrapped up. But, as we work with the downtown business owners and property owners, we're cognizant of how much this is going to impact the city. And so we just need to do everything we can. And as you know, we've talked about a communication company that's going to help facilitate that, which is a huge issue.
Yes.
But so, that's one thing that I think is just a huge issue. It'll be great when it's done, but it's going to take a while to get there. Right.
And, we talked about with another candidate, as a matter of fact, who is a small business owner in downtown Lake Geneva, that it is honestly fear and anxiety because, when you own your own business, it's your life.
Right.
Like, it is your life. You sacrifice things for it. It feeds your family. It is your life. And so, you have to address and sympathize with that anxiety and that fear that people have. And you can't just say, oh, no, it'll be fine. You can't just say that. You have to show them the effort. And that's an important one for sure.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are concerned about renewing their leases, right?
Sure.
And so I've assured as many of these people that, look, we're doing everything we can to mitigate, the impact. And I think it's comforting just to reassure them. And look, other communities have gone through this in the past and have survived. But, Lake Geneva is unique. It's an extremely popular city and a lot of tourism. And we just need to do our job on that. And we've been working hard at it.
For sure.
I think the other big thing is Hillmore, right? It's always a topic every time I'm in here talking with you. But we're really excited. We have the Knowles Nelson grant, which was approved, and we have to use that now in the next, I think, 12 to 14 months or so. So we've been working quite diligently in Zone 1, doing a conceptual plan, which I think now is just about wrapped up. And then this summer we'll start getting bids and doing some trail improvements out on Hillmore. But that, we had a terrific amount of public input on that. I think there was something like 500 inquiries about what people wanted to see it become. And we've had just meeting after meeting about that. We actually had a really interesting meeting just a few weeks ago. An ecological study came through. Oh, yeah. And it was a preliminary study, but it was very entertaining to understand all the native species and trees. And it was really cool.
I bet.
But so we're looking for it. And the thing I want to be clear about Hillmore with Zone 1 too is we did a conceptual plan, but it's going to be a number of years before a lot of those amenities ever come forward. It's we have to figure out the money side of it.
Well, that and there's infrastructure that is not in place that you have to have. And so, that's one of the things. As a matter of fact, I talked with this, I don't even remember what candidate it was, that, I have said that for years. Like, you can try to put whatever you want there, but until the city is ready to do their part in that partnership, and it takes money to do that, then, not a lot's going to be able to happen there. And so you got to find the right partner, but you also have to find the right timing in order to develop that. And there's no backdoor deals or anything like that. No. Can you please just clear that up?
Look, I don't know how to be more clear than every single meeting we've had, not only Hillmore Commission, but every meeting in the city. We allow public comment at every one of these meetings, and we encourage the public to come out. So everything we do is by the book. It's on the record.
In front of people.
It's in front of the cameras. I mean, so, yeah, this whole notion that, there's all these backdoor deals, it's just, it's negative campaigning at its best.
Right.
So, the other thing I think the council, we've been quite aware of, is we had a presentation by WCEDA, the Walworth County Housing Corp., and we've become real aware of the issue with shortage of housing. And it's not strictly like Geneva, it's everywhere,
sure,
right? I mean,
absolutely
countrywide, actually.
Right.
And we identified the importance of, we need housing for workforce people. We need housing for younger families that can afford to move in the city. We're having a real issue, not only in Lake Geneva, countrywide, with numbers of student, population dropping.
Right.
So we're trying to get ahead of that curve and find out how do we do something. We did approve some stuff over on Highway H, not any development yet, but just to appropriate the land for consideration for that. So I think that, again, the council is very aware of, this need. And, unfortunately, in the city of Lake Geneva, we're down to just a couple parcels of land that we even can do anything with. Over on Town Line, being one of them, and, everything else is pretty well almost built out.
Right,
so,
right.
So yeah, we're limited on land, but what we do have, we're looking to try to facilitate some affordable housing.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah,
that is.
Yeah. And I think communications. I think the residents, they really appreciate the communication side of stuff, and we did just hire a new assistant city administrator, and really his role is going to be to help facilitate communications, whether that's every other week or monthly, whatever, but a way to facilitate informing the public about what's going on at City Hall, officially from City Hall, if you will, not a sideline newsletter, but something that is all official.
Right.
So we're really excited about that. I know Channel 25 has been a topic for a long time. We are completely and totally at the mercy of Spectrum.
Sure.
TV, but we're literally waiting for someone in Texas to flick a switch, and
somebody else said that.
Yeah. So
why won't they flip the switch?
Again, we've invested, I think, $40,000 in the hardware to update the system, but again, we're totally at the mercy of these people, and we're low priority, and we're dealing with someone in Texas that has to integrate the system. I don't know, but but literally it could go completely. We already have the video side of it. We're just waiting for the audio to come live. So
yeah, I mean, because that, one of the aldermen months ago asked me, she was very frustrated, and she said, people say that they don't know what's going on. And she said, but you have to come to the meetings. And yes, Channel 25 is an issue, but I mean, there are other ways to get the information. Like we put it out there. And she said, other than going and sitting at their dinner table with them, how are you supposed to get the information out? And I said, I don't know. I mean, people, you can say all day long that they're not communicating. They are, but you have to find, they're not going to come and sit in your living room with you and discuss all of this. You also have to be a little bit proactive and responsible for your own knowledge and experience as well.
Absolutely. And the interesting thing is there's so many forms of communication now between, the radios and the Facebook and all the different social media platforms. So, people will get kind of honed into one particular platform, and if you're not broadcasting on that, it's hard to communicate. But yeah, you're right. I think people definitely have to be intentional about wanting as well to find out the information. Right.
Yeah, no. So communication's definitely up there. So then now we come to the three things that people come to you about. Now, a lot of times this crosses over, but a lot of times people come up with ones that really surprise me. Like, people are super interested in, why there's a rock formation over here. And for some reason, So, I mean, just weird stuff that I would never predict that would be super important to a lot of people. So what are the top three things that people come to you and say, well, this is what we think needs to happen as soon as possible?
Yeah, I think probably the number one thing that I still hear is short-term rentals.
Sure.
I want to preface this by saying, there are some really great short-term rental owners, and they're abiding by the rules and regulations of the city. But, I also want to make clear that this is a state statute. So we're bound by state statute, which basically identifies that any and every house in the city of Lake Geneva could potentially become a short-term rental property.
Right.
So really the only role that we have in the city is to regulate the program.
Okay.
And so in the last 2 years, I mean, we have completely revamped that program. There was a policy that I discovered when I came on board, but we completely rewrote the policy. Put some teeth into it, kind of a 3 strikes and you're out type of thing.
Right.
And then you can write all the policies in the world, but if you don't enforce them, there's no point in writing the policy in the first place. So we did hire a firm that does our code enforcement. And then we did increase the registration fee for short-term rental. By law, we're allowed to do that. And therefore, we were able to hire a full-time short-term rental / co-enforcer who begins this Thursday.
Awesome.
And that role will be, really trying to dig deep into the problem.
So can you be clear then on the fact that, so many times the word tax is thrown around. It's paid for by taxpayer dollars and it's paid for by this tax or that tax. The fact is that you're creating a program that is self-sustainable. See, I love the word sustainable, right? So you're creating a program that pays for itself. You charge the fees, you charge the registration fees, there's, delinquency fees, there's whatever fees. And the people that pay those are the ones who are paying for the enforcer person to make sure that is. So this is not, your taxes are going to go up because of short-term rental enforcement. That is not how that works.
No, and the public has been thrilled about what we're doing with that.
Sure.
Right? So we increased the rates again, which were allowed, and it didn't cost the taxpayers a penny. We have a full-time enforcer now that's going to deal strictly with that program, and some city enforcement, but primarily short-term rental.
Right.
So, and I think we're getting very close. We also hired a software company that we can track different properties. So that's been helpful as well. But when you add all this stuff up, we're really getting our handle on this. And we've had a number of properties that have sold, a couple that have converted back to single family.
Sure.
And we've been issuing some serious fines.
Good.
So the word is out there that we're really regulating this program. And again, it has its role, but we have to go after the people that are violating and get them. So.
Right. Perfect. That's awesome.
The other thing, people have been really thrilled about what we've done financially in the city. We've really looked at every way to keep taxes as low as we possibly can. We've had a couple funny things that we discovered, one of which was our city dump. We had everybody, not only in our county, but other counties using our city dump.
Oh my gosh.
To the point where our DPW director was just beside himself. And I said, shut it down.
Yeah.
And so we did for a couple days, and we regrouped. And then we organized it so that you have to prove residency in order to use it, which I think is only fair. And so the man hours that we've saved at our city dump has all been converted to improving Highway 50 of Hillmore.
Cool.
So all that mowing and tree trimming, that didn't really, it was just a shift of energies from the city dump to the Hillmore property. So so we figured we've saved about $70,000 in the last 12 months.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
On that. And the police boat, which starts up here now soon, the boat's in. Over the course of the next 8 years, we'll save over $500,000.
That was a big question on why you were doing that and what was the benefit and, how much crime can there be in the, waters that Lake Geneva would cover. And so that was a big issue.
Yeah. And it wasn't so much that as it was an opportunity to save money. And we identified the police department and the PFC have wanted to do this for years. But we got it done and they're thrilled. And really what's unique about it is it's going to offer a whole nother level of safety on the lake, which we've never had before. I mean, water safety, they're great, and all the entities that serve on the lake are great. But what we are is literally a 24/7 ability to be on that water. So, 2 a.m. when no one's out there, if there's an incident, we could we can most officers that are patrolling are going to be certified on the boat. So what we do is if there's a patrol officer out patrolling, they can go right to the boat and be on the water. So literally within 10 minutes, we can be, basically on the water.
How did it affect the relationships with the surrounding communities that participated in that?
Well, I'll be honest. It's always difficult to terminate from a relationship like that. And but I think in the end, that a few of them have recognized what we're doing is a benefit to the lake in general. And I think you're going to see, I'm pretty certain at least one of them is going to follow our model, which they're going to convert to as well. So
people just don't like change, I think.
Nobody likes change, right? I get that. But it was an opportunity for us to primarily save money and then have a better offering on the lake. So,
cool. Yeah.
That was, I think overall, when we look at all the financial savings we've had and the fact we paid down the debt from $24.5 million to now just over $19 million in the course of 2 years. And that comes off your taxes, right? So roughly of the roughly 4% increase that the city portion of the tax, 2% of that was just to pay off debt service.
Sure.
So and then you look at our this year we were very fortunate. Insurance is just a terrific expense for any business or entity. And we were able to negotiate a 0% increase with our insurance firm.
That helps.
So, that was a huge savings there, too. But so, again, I give so much of the credit to our staff, our comptroller and administrator and the whole staff down at City Hall. They're just such a bunch of rock stars, and they work hard, and they're diligent about their jobs. And that's been something we've changed, right? We've brought in a number of different people and over just people retiring and so forth.
Right.
So, that's been one thing that's been great. The one thing we did a strategic plan this year, which it's been way past due for the city.
Sure.
And from that, we've discovered that, we really have an imbalance between residential life and tourism. And, that's what the residents are saying. And
is it an actual imbalance or is it perceived?
Well, I think what we're hearing, at least from the residents, is they just want to see more promotion for things for the residents to do. So
that's fair.
So
Very
for
fair.
example, the Simple property that was sold on Sheridan Springs, which was the Power and Light Company, which, if I could just clarify one thing.
Please do.
So that was purchased years ago by the city for $42,000. And that property included what's being sold to Simple Group, but it's also where the Fairfield Inn is. So that was all part of the Wisconsin Power and Light.
Right.
And again, the city paid $42,000 for the property back then. So after selling the property to the Fairfield years ago, and then selling to the Simple Group, and after we paid off all our expenses, we'll have profited $1.1 million on that property over the course of those years.
Again, I've never heard anybody say that out loud, so that's really good information to have.
There's some misconceived things out there that we profited $1.1 million on Simple. No, the $1.1 million is the combination of the proceeds from all the property and minus what we paid. So
can I say, did anybody throw a big fit when that other part sold to Fairfield?
Not at all.
Okay, just a question.
And the other thing too, and again, for years, and many people in the city remember, we had a for sale sign on that property for a number of years.
Yes, I drove by it for years.
And, the city's number was on there and no interest. And it finally rotted and fell over. So, but,
and again, how many acres is not even usable of that property?
So the property is a total of 11 acres.
Right.
And approximately 2 acres of that is the retention pond.
Right.
And so once you minus everything out, there's about just maybe almost 5 acres of buildable property.
Okay.
Yeah. So the lion's share of it is the hill behind it.
Not buildable.
And, and again, they've committed, and it will be actually deeded, that they're going to put a trailhead to the Hillmore property on the north side there, as well as offer, parking and so forth. So, and again, when we looked at the strategic plan, this was hand in glove to what the residents wanted.
Yeah.
Right. They're like, we want some amenities. In fact, they even spelled out, we want to promote local local business owners. Right. And so we had 5 meetings with the council and 1 meeting with the Hillmore Commission. We offered public comment at every one of them. We had approximately 30 residents that spoke at every one of them in favor of it. There was maybe 2-3 people that spoke against it. But, our job as elected officials are to represent the people and listen to the people.
And make the tough decisions.
And that's what we did.
Right.
This was a prime example of, you want to talk transparency. I don't know how you can be any more transparent than that.
Right. So then, was that the third thing?
Yeah, I think we covered it.
Okay. So then my final question, we have a couple minutes left here. Tell us what it is that you bring to the table. Why should people vote for you?
Well, I think over the years I've earned the trust and respect of the residents of Lake Geneva, whether it was, working rescue or teaching or, church service stuff. All the things we've given back to the city and been part of the city. People know me. They know my family. I think they hold everybody in high regard. So when I look at, going forward, the years I served in city council years ago, I was the youngest alderman, yet I was chosen by all the elders to represent them as the council president. And, so it's just, I feel my honesty and transparency and love for the city. I'm so deeply rooted here. Both my wife and I were, Lake Geneva has been our home forever, raised our kids here. So
your best friend is the actual mayor of Lake Geneva, Sean Payne.
Oh, Sean Payne. Yeah. Well, yeah. It's actually kind of funny when we go out for dinner or something, people address him as the mayor and I'm just kind of his friend.
Why are you there?
But but no, I think, the other thing that, and again, watch some of the meetings that we've conducted. Bring a sense of calmness to the table, respect, I think is huge. The council, any council, I think they're usually a very energetic group, if you will, and it's sometimes difficult to keep in task. I always tell them I'm kind of the conductor of the orchestra and they're the musicians, but it can be challenging, but I think the key to all of it is just respect. Yeah. Respect one another. And, we try, and if you watch the meetings, we don't have much drama. We try to keep it, in check. And if something gets out of hand, I try to pull it back in. But, what we want to do is just represent the people. And, 2 years ago when I was elected with, a pretty nice margin from the people, which I appreciated, I think it was because they realized that, I'm going to bring that to the table. Right. I'm going to bring that respect. I'm going to bring the the love of the city and more than anything, listen to the people. I think they get really frustrated. The public gets very frustrated when they elect somebody, but then they're trying to do their own agenda, not listen to the people. Right. So. Right. Awesome. Yeah. I will say that we did invite your opponent on the ticket to participate in this, and he got back to me in writing, but did not find the need to come in and do the audio. And I don't have a place to put the stuff in writing, which I let him know. And so, unfortunately, I don't have anything to add from him. And so I just want to be full disclosure there that he was invited and declined the invitation. So, we appreciate all of you. As you know, I had several candidates come in this year and we did this way. I feel like it has been a very good way to get to know somebody. You can go back and listen more than once. You can go back and form questions from it. And I know that everybody that sat in these chairs and did these interviews, you can very much tell that they are completely open to ideas and questions and criticism, and just they're very aware and very passionate about representing the people that they have committed via being on the ballot to representing. So I do think you have a great team. I think that you will continue to have a great team. And I do wish everybody in this campaign, as well, of course, as you, good luck in on Tuesday. Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah, it's, and it is, it doesn't really matter. I know that somebody's you had said it is a thankless job. It is, because it doesn't matter. You are never going to make everybody happy.
Well, I want to address that real fast.
Okay.
So it's not a thankless job. One of the things that I discovered shortly after being elected was when I'm at my office, all the time, people that I don't know will come into my office and just say, "Hey, Mayor, thank you for your service. You're doing a great job. Appreciate, the way you conduct yourself and you conduct meetings."
Yeah.
And so I have had nothing but really just wonderful people come. I've got in my office, I have a stack of letters and notes and so on from people people are appreciative for serving, and it's a tough thing. People don't want to get into it for, politics in general it's tough, right? And my reasoning for getting into it was just to give back to the city that I love. I have no other interest in that. So,
right.
But it's important to get good people to serve, and I would always encourage in the future anybody to get up and serve. And we do have a number of committees that we can appoint people to, or that I actually get to appoint people to. So if you're interested in giving back to the city, whether you've been here forever or relatively new, talk to me and we can get you involved. But
I do think you're right. A couple of those things are grossly misinterpreted because, just like I just said,
right.
99% of the time you hear from the people who are really mad at you.
Right.
And so that's what you meant by that comment,
correct.
Right? That, you can't make everybody happy. There's not possible unless the subject is we're going to sell ice cream or we're going to give ice cream away every day, right?
Yeah.
Everybody agrees on that. That's perfect. But it is very difficult. But the more, and the nature of politics is what makes it hard to find good people to lend their time.
Correct.
And, yes, there were a few comments that are grossly misinterpreted,
right.
and but you're absolutely right. It's tough. It's hard to find good employees, let alone people who will that you're going to pay,
right.
let alone find people to donate their time for the betterment of those around them. And, and so, but man, we do. Walworth County is very, very lucky. We have a set of beautiful little quaint cities, and we love them, and the people are really dedicated and very, passionate is the word that you have to remember that people are. And so sometimes that dictates their behavior, but most of the time it dictates their commitment.
Right.
And that's what's important.
Well, Nancy, we thank you so much for all you do for the radio station, and you've helped out as well at City Hall recently, and you've been a great asset. So,
thank you. We are all in this together.
We are, and that's the ticket right there.
Yep.
This is a group effort, and we need all pitch in.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Mayor, so much thanks for coming in, and good luck on the campaign
Thank you.
on Tuesday.
Thank you. Get out and vote April 7th. Okay.
For sure.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Nancy.